Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism, back with another live video for you. It's Friday. It's time for another Jeranism Friday Lounge. We are on number 9, believe it or not, moving right along. We've got a great cast of characters with me today. It's a little bit abbreviated, but we've got two good friends. First, we've got Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez. Rodrigo, how are you, my friend? Alrighty.
Fine, very fine.
It's much more abbreviated than I even thought.
Can you hear me?
That
Hey,
damn,
Jaron,
that damn mute button.
How's
huh?
it going? How's it going?
It's going good. Maybe I should.
That was good. It was a great impression.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I thought it was good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty cold. Yeah, I've been sharing some videos. Maybe you can take a look at some of it. It's been quite. I'm not sure you've seen the ceremony NASA had with the new astronauts.
Yeah,
if you had a chance.
I was watching a little bit of it before. Do you have that video up? Oh man, now I can't remember the exact time. I don't know if it was 44 minutes. There was something hilarious that some astronaut said, like 44 minutes. He's like, I love standing in line with this girl, and she's so great. We talk about the fluctuations of at the ice cream store. I don't know. It was just stupid.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that
I remember.
part? So stupid.
Yeah.
We also have Iru Landucci, Nuor para todos. Iru, what's up, my friend?
Fine. I always ask myself is maybe in some presentation say, no, I am like a shed, like a Jesuit shed or something like that. But, the last shows, everybody's good, everybody's fine, everybody's excellent. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, everybody's just really good. I don't know. It's a new year. It's
yeah,
exciting.
that is because you don't live in Argentina.
Oh, that's true. I don't know
that. I'm very happy. Thank you for the invitation.
Good. We're happy to have you joining us, and I do have I got a couple letters this week. Well, 2, but one of them I wanted to read a little bit of. It's from this guy Jonathan from Illinois, and he's basically saying that he loves everything that we're doing. And let me see if I can find the exact part that I want to read because it was pretty funny. But he says, it used to be a hard time for him to sit through 2 to 3 hour videos. It was super intimidating. But now he can sit through 4 hours like it's nothing, even 5-hour streams. He says he thinks Owen's streams helped him get to that point, and then he discovered 1.25 and 1.5 speeds. Anyway, he says, my new favorite thing is your Friday night lounges. Holy F, they are good. He says, I think up to this last writing, it was number 3. Oh, wait, I just looked. It's number 6. I was listening to it on my way back to Kansas at like 3 in the morning. That whole part you guys had about Stephen Hawking had me laughing so damn hard I almost peed myself. Even before I started questioning everything, when I was an atheist, agnostic, globe believer, I always had issues with that computer he talks through, like who the F helped him create it. How does he make words by blowing through a straw? Seems ridiculous. Even though the straw thing is completely retarded, when you showed the video of him talking when he was younger, it was like a complete brain-dead vegetable. He sounded like he could have done sound effects for Star Wars monsters in the 70s. And the fact that they said he lived so long is stupid, too. Anyway, that segment of the show had me rolling. Iru even said the F word. Speaking of Iru, I'm so glad you are all finally telling him that he speaks English just fine. He always says he's not good at it, but he is getting better and better every stream, and he's very easy to understand. He cracks me up, and I love when Ferrari Dr. Nunez laughs, too. His laugh is awesome. I would agree with that. I do enjoy a good...
Me too.
I do enjoy a good Rodrigo laugh. Anyway, I'm writing this on Christmas Eve. I'm about to load propane into my trailer here in Illinois. I want you to have a great Christmas. Finish the year off wonderfully. Sending my love and admiration to all you guys for all the videos you do. You make my Saturday mornings more enjoyable. Keep on kicking ass. That's Jonathan in Illinois. So very cool. Nice letter. Wanted to read that since you guys were included in that. I also got an article from this guy. I'll just call him Brad. No, wait. Let me get his name right. Bruce. Sorry, let's call him Bruce.
Pete. Okay.
No,
Okay.
Bruce. Bruce sent me a article from the Crittenden Press. It is from a newspaper from 1897, and I just want to read it to you because what is this crap, man? This is from so this is an actual newspaper. I did a little bit of research on it just to make sure it wasn't like one of those spoof newspapers or something. And no, this is an actual newspaper article from 1897, and this is what it says here. The article is titled "The Sun's Newborn Mate." It says, a huge fiery planet cast into space and is traveling at terrific speeds. This is New York, December 16th, 1897. The astronomers all over the world are training their telescopes on a huge fiery planet, which they say that the sun has just cast off. The newest offspring of the greatest of all luminaries is said to be the one which a certain sect has long ago predicted would strike the Earth. But however that may be, it remains that the monster new world is rushing through space at a terrific rate of speed and may now be seen through smoked glass on a clear day. The I don't know what that is. The best authorities agree in the deduction that the planet is the result of sunspots, which have been so frequently commented on lately. The spots indicating the action of the sun prior to them birthing a new world. Professor Garrett P. Service predicted such a birth on September 12th. He said, the great sunspot, which astronomers have been watching for years, has now formed into a fiery swirling mass about to burst from the sun's surface. Professor Corrigan, director of Food Cell Observatory, said, the bulging globe of molten matter will be hurled out into space and will destroy the Earth. Professor W.R. Brooks of the Smith Observatory says that the mighty solar disturbance is about 100,000 miles in length. According to this statement, this new world, which the sun is sending out into the universe, is the one sending out into the universe, is more than 3 times the size of Earth. If this vast void world of matter is entirely broken from the sun, as astronomers say it is whirling in space and creating an atmosphere of its own, which will make life possible on its surface when it cools. It may not seem to be going very fast according to the observation of mortals, not versed in astronomical science, but it is nevertheless finding a home in the universe. Professor Service says, the mysterious sunspots which have puzzled the astronomers since Galileo saw them with his first telescope, the tremendous upheavals from the solar warfare, to which reference has already been made, the upgushing of vaporized matter from the interior of the sun, and the unexplained periodical character of all correlated phenomenon like the ebbing and flowing of a tide, are regarded by Professor Corrigan as proof that the time is near, and perhaps just at hand, when another planetary birth is about to take place. The spots, the blazing faculae streaking the solar surface at intervals, the violent outbursts followed by subsidence, all these are regarded as indications of a straining of the giant in its birth throes. People in the city are now using all the glass about the house to take a peep at the baby aerial traveler about to clear these days. That's an article from a newspaper.
But that is the last movie from Quentin Tarantino.
What the hell is this?
What is this? So, yeah, he sends me this note, and he's like, he says, regarding this Kentucky newspaper article, I had myself asking a major WTF. Bruce, I can't agree with you more. I'm wondering the same thing. Like, what is this nonsense? Yuri, have you seen some of these old articles from newspapers that talk about this kind of nonsense? I've seen a few of them.
Yeah, well, not this type of old articles, but here in the Spanish community, one of the YouTube channel that helped me to put together the conference in Spain, they create, like a section called fake news, and they read actual news, which is insane. The amount of nonsense letters, words, lines, and it's amazing. In fact, they go, for example, from the idea of a laser that supposedly can reach the atmosphere and hit a particle of the size of a screw, to help the ISS to avoid collision with debris, to things like I don't know, in another planet there is not raining, things like that. But
right.
That are actual news.
Well, yeah. It's even worse. Well, I think this is supposed to be actual news too, but I don't know. Did they used to think that the sunspots were planets about to be born? in 1897. I don't know. That's what this article is basically saying. It's basically saying that they're looking at sunspots and that all these astronomers and observatory guys are saying that the sun is going to spout out new planets. Have you guys heard that before? Because I do remember in my research seeing things like that where they used to think that the sun expelled new planets every once in a while.
Yeah, that has a really deep meaning in terms of symbology of the masculine thing, because for me, this is my opinion, right? It's like the father son has like a erection and it's going to spread a lot of spermas and creating new worlds. In fact, and I'm talking seriously. I mean, I have in my presentation that I'm going to give in Madrid in the next 15 days, I'm going to talk about the NASA Blue Beam project and all the symbology behind. And, when you go, for example, if you talk with someone and, in the UFO community and ask what is the name for the theory behind that, how the hell we have life on Earth, they're going to tell you panspermia, right?
Right.
But if you divide that name, it means the sperma of Pan, because our Earth is Pangea, is the Earth Gia from Pan, and the demon god Pan, and Peter Pan, and all that kind of things. But for example, in that there is another implicit message, which is the Earth, the Mother Earth, is infertile. So the Mother Earth need the sperma of Pan. So when I read this kind of news, like you read it before, this idea of the Pan or sun is going to spread new new boys,
Offspring,
diving in the vacuum of space, create another world. It's the same thing, something like this.
Yeah, I mean, in Greek mythology, you do have the story, I think, the birth of Venus is the sperm from Zeus that falls into the ocean, I think. And there's the foam where she comes out. There's definitely stories like that. But in the spermia in Greek, it means just seed in general, like seeds of other things. So they decided to put that name to the seed of humans as well from the male side. And they called the women the egg. And, that's the terminology that we inherited. Pan, of course, there is the demon, like what you're saying, this kind of creature, which is a hybrid sort of human, usually shown with their erection as well. These they're part of the Saturnalia type of crew.
Yeah, pedophilia too. Is the god of the pedophilia.
Yeah, you see them if you go to the Capitoline Museum in Rome, or if you look it up, like the kinds of statues they have a famous one that was from Hadrian's villa. Hadrian had a boyfriend that it was in, believe it or not, in the Instagram of that guy Jimmy Comet, right? That was the Antinous. This is the boyfriend of Hadrian, the emperor. And what happens is this boyfriend, who is this beautiful guy, supposedly handsome guy, died, drowned in the Nile. And Hadrian went nuts and started spreading statues of him all over Rome. He commissioned thousands and thousands of statues. So when you go into even the Vatican Museum, in the Vatican Museum, you have statues of this guy Antinous as a pharaoh in black marble, sort of those diorite sort of dark stuff. So it's fairly odd. And in Hadrian's villa, you have the statue from the Capitoline, which is a boy Pan, like Iro is saying here. Of course, it was part of pedophilia was part of how ancient Romans in the elite lived their lives. They had little young lovers, and that goes back into, if you read Plato, even if you read Plato, you will find in the dialogues references to how beautiful some of the boys are and who's young lover or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary.
Exactly. And I remember, because there is this, like, at least in my short research, but for one side you have the reference of Pan like the god of nature, and for in the other hand you have all this reference for being like a demonic entity, carry on the things behind pedophilia, sexual abuse, and all this kind of stuff. So you have like this both thing. And here, for example, in Europe, and especially here in Switzerland, at least some places, and France also, some places that I was, like a tourist, Linda take me to visit. There is a lot of reference of Pan, and it's this kind of strange face with all the flowers in the head and some branches,
Plays
like
a flute sometimes,
and the flute, of course, and the flute, and in fact they use all the time Pangea, the box of Pangea, all the time. Pandemonium
has also
like,
the kind of legs of a goat usually.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, for example, we use all the time the word panic to refer some when you have fear.
Right.
And panico, it means like it's like a pan, is in front of you. When you talk about panacea, I don't know if the same terminology in English, but it means like the panacea is like talking about the room of demons, like the demons that are going to eat you. So there is a lot of reference, and in fact, another way to you see this symbolism between the heliocentric model and the biblical history or the religion history is, for example, the moon. Supposedly, the moon represents the feminine, and the sun represents the masculine. And in terms of the religions, they say like Adam and Eve. Eve was created by this part of the Adam, which the costal, which is the name in English, costilla.
The ribs.
Right.
From ribs. Okay, so they are telling like the woman is created from the man. But when you go to the heliocentric model, you have the moon, which represents the woman, and they say that the moon is the majority of the material on the moon is helium 3, and helium 3 is referred to helio, which is means referred to the sun 3 times. It's like they saying like, okay, the moon was created based on helium.
Right.
All this kind of stuff you have all surrounded us completely.
Yeah, well, one thing that you should maybe differentiate there is that there is this creature called Pan, but in the Greek language, Pan as well means just everything. Like it's something used as part of the grammar, right?
So
like English, in English you say all.
Like pantheism.
You write that like that, for instance, because that means all.
God is in all, or whatever.
As it grammatically in Greek, right? But there's also this creature, so that these things can get mixed, and one can be used as a code for the other as well, of course. But also, it is interesting. You mention all these in the Western cosmologies. You have the moon as feminine, and the sun as masculine as well. And it's interesting that when you go into the Vedic cosmology, they don't have just the moon, they also have Rahu and Ketu. And these have then been assigned masculine and feminine also characteristics. Yeah, they're doing this kind of polarity.
And Chuck Parson is really deep connected with the god Pan. In fact, they have this famous picture on NASA that there is two image. There is two pictures that form one picture, which is the rover on the moon, but they split the picture in two, and one of the pictures says rover rest in peace, and on the bottom of that phrase says Pan, and in the other picture they add anoramic. Who is going to split the word Pan anoramic in the other part of the picture? It's insane. I imagine that you're gonna split like panoramic, I don't know, something like that. Maybe I'm thinking in Spanish.
Is it be pan
maybe
or
I'm thinking.
ramen?
Maybe I'm thinking Spanish, but I mean, they put all these, tiny breadcrumbs everywhere,
No, I think it is odd that they're cutting the word there actually, because I don't think even in English that would be the place for the syllable to break. But they would be doing this, and of course it does make sense that would be something that they would be using, like Artemis, for instance.
No, go ahead. Sorry, man. Sorry.
No, Artemis.
I'm gonna ask
which is
to enter the Shaq Parson Wikipedia. Why you are talking?
No. Just mentioning that they're always using the symbols, right? And Artemis, another one, and she's a huntress, and it's very odd that they're using this so much with these young people that they're indoctrinating now. And that was a crazy video that we saw from NASA today, but. What is bizarre is how Jeffrey Epstein in his island, in the swimming pool, there was in front of the swimming pool, there's a statue of Artemis with a arch, with her bow stretched, and I think it points to the way that they would probably have their victims run and then hunt them, which is one of the things that we hear from the victims of these cults that happened to them as part of their quote-unquote training. So it's very bizarre that NASA uses it. It's disturbing.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Bobby.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you? Welcome to Friday.
Not too bad. Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
But
You're fired.
Had a little bit of work I had to get finished, and I thought I'd make it home in time for the show, but you know how that goes. But I'm here.
Good. Good. Welcome to the show. We did get a super chat from Zayla Raiden, who said, "Tuned in and ready, loud enough for anyone to hear, or loud enough for anyone near to hear. Come on, guys. What's a couple of bucks? Also, can I get you to say judging Jesuits? I don't know. You can say it.
Judging Jesuits. Judging Jesuits. Jesuits.
That's awesome.
That's a good one. And then
no, I changed my BS for Jesuit shit. Jesuit shit. I mean, it's better. Why are we gonna complain about the bull?
Right. Exactly. We have
I don't mind, to pick up shit from the bull, but from a Jesuit,
no,
I
I'll
run
pass.
away.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. I don't want anything here.
But in this Chuck Parson, I don't know in which part is in English, but because it's the same as Spanish. But there is a paragraph talking about how Chuck Parson prayed to the god of Telema god or something like that before any rocket launch.
Right.
And I trying to imagine that, that because that was real. I mean, the guy, I don't know, in the control room, on the knees, with the hands together, praying to Babylon for this rocket, please let me get out of this planet, let me break the dome, something like that.
Right.
It's amazing. And I read in the book, in one book that we're going to present about the life of Kepler, that Kepler prayed to God for the Newton laws was real. And that's said explicit in the book. And the book was written by an historian academies from one of the prestigious university in Madrid. So I mean, it's crazy. If you pay for create a movie for and you need to recreate that kind of scenarios, that will be awesome. I mean.
Yeah, right here during the, this is the Jack Parsons Wikipedia, says, during rocket tests, Parsons often recited Crowley's poem, Hymn to Pan, as a good luck charm. It's a good way to get your rockets up there.
That is official. I mean, take it out from Wikipedia. I mean, you don't need to put that,
They're not even ashamed of this.
No, they just love it. Yeah, they love putting that out there. We also got a super chat from Ian Loamfrog, who said, loving the Friday Lounge. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I know I've gotten a majority of emails saying they love it, and then I got a couple people saying that they think it's too long and it's hard to pull out good information. And I'm like, well, that's not really what it's for. If you think it's too long, then you don't have to watch it. We've said that a million times. You don't have to listen, and hopefully if there's ever anything prime that comes out of this, well, then somebody will put it in another video, or I will, or Iru will, or Rodrigo will, or somebody will.
Yeah, I mean, people should be feeling free to clip things and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm on here for the whole 3+ hours, and I never listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you got to live your life as well, right? There's lots of things to do.
Right.
And we take our time to be here and interact and make sure it goes somewhere.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of good information that is worth coming back to, though, Bob, at some point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's good. I like, like I said, this all started with our conversations there in Amsterdam, and it's just fun to have some people to talk to. A lot of us have, lost friends in the real world that we can talk to about this kind of stuff, and so I think it's awesome to have a place where, hey, I know Fridays we're going to be doing this. Commercial Sound and Video said, science says the sun poops planets. Yeah, well, according to this article from 1896, that is what science was saying, is that they thought the sunspots were from that. But, who knows? So thank you very much for those super chats. Go ahead.
I was going to say, didn't that original thought come from like Velikovsky or somebody like that?
Maybe.
Where that the sun actually birthed planets? Maybe, I don't know if it was him. I think it was, but, that's been a theory of mainstream science for quite some time, actually.
Yeah, that's
kind of bizarre.
That's what I was trying to see if they had heard about, because I remember reading that Earth was and then basically there'll be another planet that will get pooped from the sun, and then the Earth will move out and it will become cold and desolate or whatever, like Mars, and then next in line would be Venus, and it would become the next Earth, and then Mercury would move, that kind of whole story I've heard a lot. And that, maybe it was Velikovsky or somebody like that was talking about that. I'm not really sure. But, I've heard that before. The title of today's
One thing that's kind of intriguing that reminds me of is one flat earther that is this geologist in Brazil that caused a lot of trouble, actually. But he was talking about how plasma actually can create different elements, certain charges of plasma, as far as I understood it. And the idea then would be relating to the sun being plasma, having that full spectrum that Bob talked about last time. And how somehow that, being the cause for some of the geological features that seem unexplainable, how there's these iron deposits that are found in the middle of the jungle that are not oxidized, and they could not have formed with water around them. So they don't fit the model of the Earth being formed with water first, apparently. But they could have been formed with a blast of plasma hitting the surface.
Yeah, exactly, Rodrigo. And, that's kind of like, I've looked at the Grand Canyon, right? And you know how they tell us about the Grand Canyon, that it was allegedly formed by the Colorado River carving it down, which, I mean, you got to have rocks in your head to believe that. Right. But to me, it makes a lot more sense that it was kind of electrically, carved out by plasma discharges. And of course, that would be some horrific plasma discharges that I sure as hell wouldn't want to be around. I get freaked out on some lightning storms, but it just seems way more plausible. Even little green men coming down with their shovels digging it out seems more plausible to me than the Colorado River, carving it out. So I think plasma is, that's one thing that they've never really discussed. It's only now coming out that it's considered to be this fourth state of matter, and that all these things, can and do come out of it. But it's information I think has been suppressed for a long time, and there's a lot to learn about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there has to be a lot of water as well. I mean, some of these features can be formed with great displacements of water. Remember that I think we discussed as well that just how the explosion of Mount St. Helens also caused some areas to become canyons, like very quickly, where they were different. The changes, meaning that changes can happen very quickly through which is sort of the monkey wrench in the whole of geology, because of the dating techniques. Right, I was watching. I'm sure you come across the work of Michael Cremo.
Yes. Forbidden archaeologist.
Forbidden archaeologist. And what you see is that he has cataloged all these findings from archaeology, but what he has failed to do, and where he stops, is where the dating begins, and the whole calibration questions and how exactly they get to those dates that he's assuming there. But he's sort of throwing another problem at them, which is, how come all these strange sites with anatomically modern humans in features that you believe to have 300 million years? So something is not right here, right? And we know that petrification can happen quickly. We know that for things to be fossilized, they have to be taken by surprise, essentially, with a great force to keep their bones and their bodies in a certain strata. Which, you know what I'm saying? Because if an animal just dies out there, it doesn't turn into a fossil. Even inside the ocean, whales become just nothing. They get totally consumed. Unless there's a lot of mud moving or some sort of catastrophe, you don't get fossils like that. Or some sort of preparation, some sort of a solution that you prepare then to petrify something, right?
Yeah, and apparently petrification can actually happen rapidly. Cami showed me some really interesting information on that, but not unlike the long-held belief that for things to petrify it takes eons and eons. It can actually happen in a matter of days or weeks, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mark Sargent was talking about that fish that they found that was supposed to be prehistoric and so on from the ancient Jurassic or whatever that they found in India that only comes out at night, and they found in other places, and it is a big problem for the story of evolution, right? It's not supposed to have be in existence like that, and it's typical of these scenarios.
There's quite a lot of things that are a big problem for evolution. There's just
many things.
Too many things. Yeah, and the reason that I named this show Salton Sea is because after the show, and by the way, folks, it'll be a little bit short today. It's going to be an abbreviated show because I've got a 7-hour drive in front of me. Oh boy,
Yikes.
Sounds fun, doesn't it? I don't know what's wrong with me. I always think that every time. I agree. I go, okay, I want to go down. And then I get to the day that I have to drive. I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? But anyway.
Well, at least it should be warm down there, right?
60, I think. I mean, which is, a little warmer than it is here. 65, I think, is what I've seen on the temperature. But the guys are down there already. They got there today. Wendell Walton and a lot of the guys from the Flat Reality Earth Explorers. Lumberjack is down there. Dan the Waterman, supposedly Shelley, Nathan. All those guys are all down there. And unless they call me in the next few hours and tell me that the conditions are bad, but Lumberjack lives down there, Brooke, and said that he was there the other day and that conditions are fantastic. So I just want to go down there and see again. Of course, we were down there in June, and I showed a lot of the footage, the doubling of the train across the water and things like that. But like I've mentioned before, there was a guy when we were at Capri Road, which is on the, I guess, west side of Salton Sea, who came over and kind of just asked what we were doing because there was a bunch of us camped out there on Capri Road, and we said, oh, we're trying to see as far as we can across this water. And he goes, oh, well, you're here at the wrong time of year. He says, you need to come out during the winter. He says, from here you can see the Salton Sea geothermal plant. And I guess
wow.
Yeah, I'll bring that up, which is incredible because if we can see that, and I told him, are you sure we can see that? And he's like, yeah, we can see that during the winter, but you can't see it during the summer. And of course we were there in June. So I want to go down and see that because that is, let's see here if I bring up, that is about 27 miles away. And it's not very tall. And so if we can see any of that, I'll bring this up so other people can see here. That's going to be amazing. So I want to go down there and see that. And then we're also going to try and do some mirror flashes. But, basically this is the, oops, tried to click that on OBS. That doesn't work. This is the Salton Sea. Kind of looks like a footprint a little bit. But basically, where is the... God,
it looks a lot like a footprint. Are you kidding? Jeez.
Yeah. I guess I should bring this up probably on OBS. On Google Earth. Jay Sturgis said, support what you like or it goes away. Thank you very much for that super chat. But, yeah, let me bring it up so you can see a little bit better what we're looking at doing. But this is kind of the corner here, and you'll see when I get to Google Earth what we're looking at. This little tiny thing here, at least it looks small from here, is the geothermal plant. And according to the guy, we were standing, like I said, on the Capri Beach. I'll show you that in a second. That he says you're able to see that during the winter, which is just a slam dunk, even without mirror flashes. And basically, we're going to have Wendell and some other people are going to be here at this corner. They say this road's pretty easy to get to. I've never been here. I never went down that far south. I was always at the North Shore. But anyway, I'll bring that up so people can see basically what we're looking at doing down there. And then I want to tell you guys about what, because last time I was there, the Independent Investigations Group was there, and I want to tell you what those guys told me or what they drew for me about why we're seeing too far, and how even if we saw, according to him, if we saw 500 miles, that it wouldn't make a difference to them. They would say that we are seeing through a duct of air, which is just insane. I'll show you what I mean in a second.
Brother.
Yeah, and that's why, and when I heard that, I'm like, man, I'm never coming back down here, because if that's the case, well, then it doesn't matter. Basically what they're saying is, and actually maybe I'll show that first. Let me bring that up first. Let's see here, our real world paint. All right, hopefully, let me transfer this over. I think that's working. Let me see if people can see this. Oops.
I'll let you know. I'm watching the live monitor.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, it should be working. So basically he drew, and this is what, I was telling him, hey, we already saw 12.5 miles yesterday. We're going to, they've already seen 18 miles. I didn't see that when I was there. But and I showed that view before. When we looked across the 18 miles on that particular day, we just saw a doubling of the image. Whatever you saw across the water was doubled. I showed clearly the train that was going by, and that creates a problem. But then I asked him, hey, we're going to be trying to do close to 30 miles today. What will you guys say when that happens? What he drew for me on a piece of paper is he drew two circles like this. And he said, oh, well, that's easy to explain. He said, if you guys can see the mirror flash, and so let's use yellow as a mirror flash. He said, if you're able to see this mirror flash from an observation point, say, of here. My argument has always been, okay, well, we've got, you have to have a line of sight. So clearly there's this bulge of water in the way. And he said, no, you don't understand. He said, this all is replicating for your viewers. So he said, if you're able to see this dot, it's because you're looking through this layer of atmosphere on the Earth. And basically this light flash is traveling along the surface of the Earth, and you're able to see this here. And then I said, well, what if we see 500 miles? And he said the same thing's true. So what they're ultimately saying is that even if you were standing on a globe at the North Pole and looking at the South Pole, basically, oops, I went too far. Basically you could be able to see that. So if somebody's flashing you with a mirror here and you're standing here, that the reason you're able to see it is because this image is traveling all along this duct. And this is where it gets into that whole question about, light traveling and stuff like that. I'm just, I understand that light from the sun travels, and light from a flashlight travels, and light from a laser travels. But for me, I think when you see a building or something across water, or when you, that building is being illuminated by light, I don't think that the light is traveling. But I mean, I know that's... Is
it not just propagating? Isn't that the right way to say it? Because it's not a particle, right?
Yeah, propagating would be the right word. But what's really sucky, Jaron, is it doesn't matter what observation is made. It's always this miracle, unbelievable, rare, optic, phenomenon that is the explanation every single time. It's just so.
And if you can't
pathetic.
see it, it's the bulge of the Earth.
Exactly.
Right. So if you can see it, it's because of the bulge of the Earth. It's because the Earth is a sphere. And if you can't see it, it's because the Earth is a sphere. And if you can see it, then it's because the Earth is a sphere. And if you can't see it, it's just like, what the hell?
We need to choose a God to pray before any observation.
That's what I got to do tomorrow. That's what I got to do tomorrow.
I wonder if you had a chance to see the videos that Iru shared, because there's a guy trying to use a computer model to say that Jay Tolan's observations worked on a ball better than on a flat Earth.
Yeah, but only in one observation. You know what bothered me? It's that this guy, they never go straight maybe to the extreme observation that is completely insane and impossible on the globe. No, they go to those who, because like we talk so many times in Globebuster, and Sheran also in his own channel, but there is this idea that they transfer the geometrical curve to the atmospheric, they transfer the atmospheric conditions to a geometrical curve. So if you create a model in terms of only geometry, at some point it's gonna match, because they don't add on top the geometrical simulation the atmosphere.
It's like seeing everything in that other view, not the camera view, but the orthographic view.
Orthographic, yeah.
And then using that without any atmospherics to make those claims. It's kind of like that astronomer that talked to Kelly, right? The guy who was adamant on arguing that you should be able to see, I guess, Paris in this case from New York or whatever, as if atmospheric conditions never existed. Nobody ever even looked at it.
Exactly. And the thing that really bugs me too is like, this is the strategy. And I think honestly, this is kind of doled out to all the trolls, and then it kind of catches on, throughout the Ball Earth community. But no matter how profound the flat Earth proof is, they will come out and claim the stark opposite and say, oh, this is excellent globe Earth proof.
Right.
It's like, what?
Yeah. So yeah, looking at this right here, you guys can see this is that corner I was telling you about where the geothermal station is. And there's a geothermal station back here, and it's actually even lower if you look at it. Negative 230, that's how far this is, negative 230. This gets into the negative 235, which means it's even lower than the water. Because remember, we're talking feet under sea level here at Salton Sea, which is a little bit weird. But the entire lake obviously shows at 230 feet, 230 feet below sea level. Last time we were here looking across this way, that's the observation that we did get. Well, actually, we got the observation we did was this way. Oops, hello. From this wreck area to the Salton Sea beach, which is about, 9 miles? Oh, I didn't fully do this because I was going to say it's about 12. And then they've gotten 18 this way, and we were able to see this way, which is only 9.44 miles, so that's not much as far as proof. But what is proof is if we're able to see, and this is where we were right here at the end of Capri Road. This is a great spot to go. I mean, if anybody's not doing anything tomorrow and wants to come say hi to me, come to Capri Road. Pretty easy drive down to, from wherever you're at. I'm driving 7 hours. But if you go to this Capri Road to the end of it, this is where we all camped out, and Dan the Waterman had a barbecue out there and was cooking up for us. It was a lot of fun. And this is where the guy drove up and just asked what we were doing, and then he said, you guys got to come back during the winter because you're able to see the geothermal plant. So if you look off this way, that's where the geothermal plant is. And if you do the measurement on that, just to make sure I have it right, we'll go from here and to the geothermal plant is, come on.
They do have a P1000, right, Jern?
I think we just have my P900 that is converted. I don't think anybody has a P1000 converted. Oh, you mean? Oh no. You mean infrared, or you mean in a regular one?
Just either. No, I don't think anybody's got a P1000 infrared unless you got it from Europe. But
right, yeah, no, I don't think anybody has one of those. But so see here, it's 27.75 miles. And when you do the calculations on that, there's a hump of, I believe, 140. Could be wrong on that. Could be 130, but it's like 140 feet, which is a 14-story building. And so if I'm able to see this geothermal plant from Capri at 27.75 miles, it's just insane. You shouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah, clear-cut case of atmospheric ducting. Yes, for sure.
There you go, yeah. And also, I like this observation because if we get down here, anytime you have the best thing you can do is ever have a backdrop or something you can aim at. So the great thing is when we come to Capri Road here, basically you just need to aim out and at this little outskirt of land, and you're pretty close to where you're looking. So it's not, you're not going to be looking over here because there's no land that jets out here. So the angle that we have here is pretty good. And then we're also going to be just doing mirror flashes. So there's going to be somebody with mirrors. Unfortunately, I mean, the best possible thing that I can imagine would be to have a mirror at the geothermal station. The problem with that is you're not going to get sun flashes that way. Because if you kind of look at it this way, and let me bring up how do I bring up the sun?
Are you taking your laser, Jern?
Yep. Yeah, my laser will be
Excellent.
with me. So you'll see the sun will rise here in the morning. So we're going to be here at Capri flashing the mirror to the guys at the geothermal station. The hardest part about this, and if you look at what the Flat Reality Earth Explorers did last time in Monterey, is they were able to have the smokestacks at Moss Landing behind them. And I think anybody who's doing mirror observations, you have to have some sort of landmark behind the mirror to really know where you're looking. Otherwise, when you get out there in real practice, it's just not the same. And when the sun kind of heads over this way, oh, I like that little reflection on the ground here. When the sun heads over this way, then we're going to drive to this side and then do more mirror flashes. The problem is there's really nothing for them to see behind us. So ideally, it would be if the sun was behind here and we could do the mirror flashes in this direction, because you have to have that kind of backdrop. Otherwise, I mean, Bob, you know how it is when you're looking in far distances. It's just not as easy as it looks here. This looks very simple, but when you get out there and practice, and I've never been to the geothermal station, but I do have the P900 that's infrared converted. So what I'm going to do is start here. I'm going to try and see the geothermal station early tomorrow morning. And then I'm going to drive this way around to the geothermal station and then be trying to observe mirror flashes here. And then they're ultimately about noon going to head over here. And then we're going to try and pick up mirror flashes this way. Both these lines are about the same. I think they're both about 27. Yeah, that 27 and a half, 27 and a quarter or 3/4. So that's basically what we're doing. And again, last time, we were trying to pick up mirror flashes. They were here at Bombay Beach. So we were trying to pick up this way. And that's where I was getting a lot of doubling. And, of course, the day before we really did the observations is when we were seeing the easiest. And they were able to pick up mirror flashes from, where's Salton State Beach? Here we go. Or Salton Sea Beach. They were here and were able to pick up my mirror flashes here. The other thing I think it's important for people to remember.
That was in the summer, Jern.
Yeah, that was in June. I think it was June 1st or something. Yeah,
so kind of not the best conditions because of the heat.
Not at all. Yeah, we were getting a lot of inversion and just you can.
Well, I mean, the best I guess is good for that, which is cool.
Right,
as well,
and then I want to go
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I ultimately want to go back. Missa was kind of talking to me and said, what if the conditions are like last time? What if it's foggy? Because it's been foggy where I live here in Merced. And I said, well, I want to see the difference between the winter and the summer. Just because I want to show that, can we see the shore here where last time you couldn't see the shore? There's basically a train track that runs back here. I don't know where it is. Is it along this road? Yeah, here's the train track, I think. No, it's actually a train. There you go. There's a train sitting on the track. But we were able to see this train track, and it was doubling, below it. And we weren't able to see these guys were over here flashing us from over here. And I just was showing the train, and so I really want to show the difference. That's basically what we're doing tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of people out there. Hopefully, if people are in the area and want to cruise over there, like I said, they're there today. I haven't heard any messages from them today, so I'll have to check in. They were going to let me know if conditions were really bad, and then there's no need for me to really go down there. But like I said, I'm going to start out.
What is that other kind of body of water over there?
This one here on the left?
To that, yeah. What's that? It looks pretty big on the right of the screen. No, when you come off.
That's the ocean.
Is the ocean? Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I was saying, when you asked me what it's my opinion, and again, people can believe whatever they want. That I believe that the ocean used to run up through here. That California used to be an island because we get the Salton Sea here. First of all, where'd the salt water come from? And of course, Bob, it's the same thing that they say that the Colorado River overflowed or something and flowed down here. I don't know, something nonsense.
Right, some ridiculous excuse.
Yeah, but I think that more, there was water all through here, and I used to live in Salinas, which is along the 101. Let's see here. Now I'm over here in Merced, but I used to live in Salinas, and again, I think the water used to flow through here. You can kind of see this canyon here, and Salinas stands for salt, salt land basically. Or salt flats or something. But I think, and this is a super fertile area. All right here, this is where a lot of your vegetables come from, your fruits and vegetables. Even, I'm talking about mostly the United States. But, this is that fertile area, Salinas, Chular, Gonzales, Greenfield, Soledad. You can see all the farmland there. See all these little crop outs. That's where, tons of fruit and vegetables come from. So I think that the reason why is because that ground is super wet, super fertile. Easy to grow things. And then you get into the valley and it's the same kind of thing. A lot of these places, this is where lots of growing takes place through Merced to Turlock, up here, Sacramento, as people know. So anyway, that's just my opinion that I don't think, and then you have the Salt Lake and you have stuff like that that tells you something's going on there. But so
where are the salt flats exactly, the ones in Utah in relation to where you are?
Sure. So we're going to be, and I know they're going to be going there. We haven't set the date yet. It's either going to be late January, early February. But
sorry about that.
No problem. We're going to be going to Wendover. Where's Wendover? It's right in here somewhere. But this is basically the salt flats here.
Right.
So I think that they're going to be doing, if I'm not mistaken, it's this road here. And I'm not real versed on this yet because I haven't been down there. But this is the one that Taboo Conspiracy is going to. He's going to be doing it as well. Because I guess there's somebody mute.
Oh. I think Ito is on.
Conspiracy theorists.
Mira, mute.
I think Ito's microphone's on.
Miru.
Let's listen in.
Miru, mute.
Is that Linda we're hearing?
I don't know.
Probably.
Oh, here's
Listen to Shaman.
Ito.
Hiru, you're mute up.
Sorry, my mic was open. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
You're gonna have to put you on timeout, Hiru.
There'll be one less screen share today.
Well, one thing that I remember from living in Salt Lake City is that people reported, some of my friends reported finding big rocks of salt. I mean, they said that they were found all over the valley, which is not towards the salt flats, but in the other direction between Great Salt Lake and the Utah Lake there in Provo. I think it's called Utah Lake.
Oh, here.
Yeah, so in the whole area there, what you can do, even in Salt Lake City, there's an area that's called the Hills, where they have a main street that goes all the way up where the Capitol Hill is, and from there you can look south, and you get a view that goes, I think, all the way. It should be quite a view from there.
Well, according to
unobstructed.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at this road right here. This road is 63 miles straight. Same thing with the 80 here. If anybody's ever driven through here, you know what it's like. I mean, there's just so according to Wendell and those guys, they went to Wendover. They've already been here, and they were able to see a laser at 30 something miles. Now, again, I don't know, at heart, a skeptic, and that's why, I'm like, okay, great, but I need to see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So I think
was that the one that Josh actually did and Shelley? They actually did that like 2 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, and then the footage got stolen by the other guy and all that bull.
Yeah, that whole BS came out. I know.
So of course, you're like, okay, well, I'll believe it when I see it. But they're going to go up here. I know Taboo Conspiracy is going to do it. There's some frontage roads or some sort of roads that run right along the freeway. That you're able to basically have, and it's just a straight shot all the way down. And this is the salt flats. People have seen tons of images of that. Super flat, super long distance observations. And then from there, they're going to drive.
So they do those car races, right? The jet cars.
Yeah, and then they're going to drive over here to Bear Lake. So they're going to do 2 days worth of observations there in Wendover. Then they're driving to Bear Lake, and I think they, at least if you can go back and listen to Raw. If anybody wants to go, you can contact Wendell at behind what curve at gmail.com, because they actually got a cabin that sleeps 16 and a guest house that sleeps 8 here in Garden City. So I guess a bunch of us are going to be staying there and then trying to do some observations of Bear Lake, either across, I don't know what that distance is. The distance is 19 miles this way. So that's the plan, but I'm not sure the exact date on that. I know they wanted some people. Rich Hopkins wants to go. Taboo Conspiracy, a couple other people. So that's the plan, and I can't give you the dates of that yet because I'm not 100% sure. It's either late January or early February. We want to get it done during the winter. So anyway, come out and check out the Salton Sea observation. Should be interesting here.
Can you go back up? Yeah, I've driven that road there from Salt Lake to San Diego a few times, back and forth.
But
that line, it was
Wait, which one?
The one that goes through Vegas, from Salt Lake City to Vegas.
15.
Yeah, 15.
15 south.
Yeah.
And car once broke in Vegas, but the other times I drove, it takes about 11 hours, but it's very some areas is so flat you can see so far.
Well, this is incredible. Really, I think every once in a while that little thing shows up, but that little green octagon or whatever it is, that's where what they call the so-called salt flats. So I'm excited to go there, and I guess whether or not I head to Bear Lake depends a lot on what we see at Salton Sea. But I've never been to the salt flats. I want to go there. Bob, you ever been to the salt flats? You ever seen them?
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't really remember much about it other than it was pretty flat.
Right. You don't say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder, can we drop down a person here? Let's see if it'll let me. Sometimes, yeah. Let's see.
Are you driving all the way to Bear Lake, Jaron?
Like I said, I'm not sure of that yet.
Okay.
So here's a ground view from a street view of the Salt Flats. So I'm not sure where this exact road. Oh, maybe it's this road that they're talking about, because they were able. No, it's just the other side of the freeway. So like I said, I haven't done any research on this area yet because I don't know for sure if I'm going or even what their plan is. But once I understand that, maybe it's this road. I don't know. Maybe it's this one. I don't know. They said there's some side road. Maybe it's this. What is that? Yeah, it looks like a road. Oh, a frontage road. There you go. That's what they're talking about. So whatever, they were able to get on this frontage road and basically send a van with a studio light in the back, and the van just drove away. And they're able to keep their camera trained on it, and according to them, they saw it at 30-something miles. So, and even if
No
you do...
surprise.
No, and I don't know, I've never done... Let me just do the... what's the... So right here it says the elevation is 4227. I just want to see if it stays basically the same. 4227 here, and then over here at the end of this road is 4254. So yeah, you're only talking about a difference of less than 30 feet. And again, if we're able to see a light, and 30 miles is like 27 miles is a 140-foot building. So you have to imagine that you have a person here flashing a mirror with a light. You've got a person here observing it, and somehow there's a 140-foot building or a 14-story building in the middle, and you're able to see through it. I mean, that's essentially what we're seeing, if that's true that they saw that. And again,
Gravity.
there you go. Gravity, it answers everything. So I think this is the frontage road. So I'm anxious to see that observation, and plus I've never seen the Salt Flats, and I think it'd be great to see that, especially with the infrared camera. So people want to head out to either one of those. You can contact Wendell for information on the Salt Flats observation, and if you want to go down to the Salton Sea, well, we'll be down there this weekend. They're already down there, so if you guys head down there right now, they're already there.
Cammie just told me that Frontier's got $77 flights to Wendover from Denver.
Really? All
Ooh.
right. Maybe Bob will be there. Maybe Bob will be there. Yeah, and I haven't decided yet because they haven't given me the dates. So that's the hard part. Is they were kind of up in the air. I did hear the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th of January, but then I also heard it could be later. So we'll just wait and find out. What I do know for sure, like I said, is that they're at the Salton Sea today, and they're supposed to message me if I should not come, and that's a good thing. I haven't gotten a message yet saying I should not come. So as soon as this show is done, pack up all my stuff. I have everything charged up, the laser, the portable sun, the cameras, and ready to go. I got a new little gadget I'm pretty excited about. It's from Ceramonic. It's something I didn't even know existed, but it's not really that cool. But it's just a microphone that has a digital recorder attached to it. So, because I think I've talked about it before, I want to go to San Francisco and some places and do some interviews, street interviews. And I was always concerned with, okay, well, if I have somebody filming me, like my wife can easily film, but will the sound be bad, right?
Yeah, it's a very good idea to have one of those things. And also, either if you can afford those things that the clip-on, sometimes they are good. But it's great to have a backup in a digital recorded,
right? Because
the camera audio, when you touch the camera or you move the camera and everything, you can lose things. And
right, and then plus if you're out on the street and stuff like that. So I'm going to take that down there. I got it. It works great, at least in the house. I mean, we haven't used it beyond that. But we're going to take that down there. I'm just going to do some interviews with Wendell and Shelly and just kind of get an idea of how it works. But it's great. It just records a WAV file into the little box. I'll actually show a picture of it here if I can bring it up. So I'm kind of excited about this weekend. Should be fun. Ceramonic.
Yeah, I use something like that for producing stuff. It's a Tascam DR30. It's very similar to this kind of thing. So it's cool. One thing I was going to ask you, Jaron, are you going to be there at night as well? Is it going to be dark when you're there?
Yeah, I'm going to get there tomorrow. I'm going to get there tomorrow morning. But yeah, I mean, so I'll be there tomorrow night. Yes. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I'm really curious to see if you can keep track of your position there, so we can later get some estimates to the lights in the environment from the lights that have nothing to do with the experiments, meaning city lights from the distance. Because I'm very curious as to how they would show up and what you would see.
Sure,
and I'm curious about keeping track of those lights because they also spell some distances and altitudes.
Yeah, no, it's easy to figure out exactly where we're at. I mean, there's a couple good points. That's why I like going back to these places. I really wish I lived closer. I mean, all those guys live within 2 hours. That'd be really nice. But and it also doesn't work for me to fly because, airport. I mean, by the time I go from where I live in Merced to the airport and then fly down to L.A. or anything like that, then I still have to drive 2 hours, and I wouldn't have a car. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that. So I just got to drive and just bear it and listen to whatever I want to listen to on the way down there. Everything should be, good. But this is kind of I'll just bring this up so people can see. Where is it? Here we go.
There's no flight to the Palm Springs, so why not?
Not that you can get for a decent price. No, not really. So this is kind of what I got that, why is my thing not going to there we go. It's basically this little thing here, and I got a different kind of microphone, but so this little recorder here, you just put a SD card in and hit the record button, and boom, it records a digital audio. So you can just interview people, and then you just have somebody filming it. This is basically it here, same thing. So really nice. It just records little WAV files, and it's not too expensive, and so I'm just going to play with that while I'm down there. And says Mr. Gadget said, I would like to see Bob do some RF-FE experiments. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gadget.
Cool. Edo had to pop out because Linda's birthday is coming up, so he says goodbye. He had to run.
Oh, he's gone?
Unfortunately, yeah. He just mentioned it.
We're going to have to do something about Linda, man. She's taking up too much of his time from Glowbusters and stuff.
Yeah, it's also got a little, audio jack where you can actually, hear what's going on. So, I don't know, pretty cool device. I didn't even know something like that really existed.
That's cool, yeah. It's got the connect. You can connect different kinds of mics on it by the look of it.
Yeah, it's an XLR. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the one I bought came with a mic, but, yeah, this is what it looks like. So you can plug any microphone into it, even ones that I know if you're not into audio, you might not know what I'm saying, but some condenser mics need phantom power. So it also has a 48 volt phantom power. So if you need that, you can turn that on, and then it's pretty nice. A 16 gigabyte or 24 gigabyte card holds like 80 hours of WAV files. So I mean, nice. You'll never need another, one of those, and then it runs off 2 AA batteries, which it says lasts 8 hours. I don't expect that. I bet in the field it will be more 4. But that's still good.
Yeah, it's quite compact. The one I use, take a look. It's called Tascam DR30. It's a similar type of thing. This one looks like it's more sturdy or professional. Both are professional, but the other one, take a look what it does. It's quite similar.
Tascam?
Yeah, Tascam DR30.
Is that like a noise canceling mic,
40,
Jaron, or is it just super sensitive?
No, it's supposedly got a low cut filter and all this stuff, and it sounded great. I mean, I was just practicing with it. Oh yeah, I've seen these ones. I actually looked into getting one. I just didn't think it looked as good, because what I want to do is I want to go onto the streets, and basically Miss is going to be filming me, and I'm going to be talking to people on the street. So this just seemed like a little funny looking.
What I think is what yours is perfect for is for having it attached to a microphone like that. Mm-hmm. And this doing interviews. It is just perfect for exactly what you need to do, because I guess you can turn it on and off when you stop, when nobody's speaking.
Correct.
So you can get your files. So I think it's perfect for that. But this works as a microphone, but is more of a thing that if you want to record musicians and stuff like that, it's got
looks like a taser.
It does look like
it looks like a taser.
Yeah, I was looking at these because a couple people suggested one of those, and I just didn't, for aesthetic reasons, I was like, well, this might look funny if I'm on the street holding this up to people's mouths. Whereas the other thing I got was basically a whole, the whole deal in one. Came with a microphone, and I also got one of those little, square boxes that you put on the microphone, so I can actually put my logo on it or something. I'm actually thinking of putting the logo that I want to put on there. I just want it to say news. because this way I can just tell people I'm with the news. Because if you do that, people will definitely believe everything you've got to say.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm with the news. Jeranism with the news.
No, yeah, that's what that has struck me on the your choice of microphone is that it does look very professional when you have it. If you have it in your hand, it looks like the ISS microphone, the box in the back of the ISS microphone.
Yeah, this one looks pretty good too. I saw a couple of these. I thought about them, but so anyway, I'm excited about that. I got that in this week, and we'll get to take that down there. And thank you very much. Commercial sound and video, $100 super chat, and he says, "Go Bob." Sweet,
awesome.
Maybe that's for you to get down to Wendover, Bob. Who knows?
Yeah, well, there it is.
So,
well, I wouldn't need that, but I honestly, for that amount of money, I would definitely go down there. That's not very much at all.
No, yeah, excited. So I'll let you know as soon as I know, and hopefully it goes well this week, or at least tomorrow. But hopefully, I don't know what they're down there doing today. It's kind of like last time we went down there and did like a preliminary day, and that's what sucked so bad last time is that we went down there, and the preliminary day, the first day we were down there, the observations were great, but we were just kind of scouting the locations. We really didn't have like people at the other side with mirrors, right? We just had all of us together, and we were kind of going to each location and telling people, okay, here's what we're doing tomorrow, here's what we're going to do, here's where you're going to be at what time, and we kind of scouted every location, and the observations were just fantastic. And then it was the next day we went, and we got there super early thinking we wouldn't see the kind of miraging effect, and we, of course, saw the miraging. Right early in the morning, we're like, oh, great. Is this ever going to burn off? And it really didn't until 4 or 5 o'clock that night. So hoping the same doesn't happen this time. But no, it's winter. I think we'll be able to see better. I think we'll be able to see further. And again, if we can see that geothermal plant, but again, I would love to say, well, what's the excuse of the globe Earthers going to be then? But I'm getting kind of to the point where I realize that if they can just draw two circles and basically say light travels around these circles, well then, like we've said before, Bob, you could with a telescope see your own ass.
That's right. And, and that's a conclusion I came to a long time ago. And that's why I don't even want to discuss it with globe earthers, because honestly, they're simply going to say, well, that proves globe earth. And they're not the people I'm out to convince,
right.
Who my audience is, and I know yours is too, honestly, is not these clowns, but the people that are seriously looking into it.
Right.
They're usually not even in the chat, to be honest with you. They're just listening, and, they're there and they're going to make up their own mind. And to those people, that's exactly, who I'm trying to convince. I don't care about the trolls.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to convince
in one
anybody.
way that this whole ridiculous explanation that they gave about the light bending, right? In one way that it really contradicts their own model, that at least I can think of, is that when Newton did this experiment to his gravity experiment, mental experiment, like supposition, that if you throw a cannonball in a certain speed, it's going to start orbiting the Earth,
right.
Correct? It's like this. Yeah. It's very famous kind of drawing, and around the ball and the cannonball.
He said
it comes out.
If you throw it too far, it'll fly off into space. If you throw it too short, then it will hit the Earth. But if you throw it just perfect, it will forever go in a circle, kind of like this Friday Lounge image is.
So, if light, their model where light's a particle that moves at 300,000 kilometers an hour, how could it possibly be bent by anything in this Newtonian model, right? If it is a particle, if it has any weight or whatever, it's being accelerated way beyond the escape velocity as it comes out. So it shouldn't be bending around anything.
And I know, Bob, I know a lot of the things I say are insane. I know that. But
that's why I like you.
You're right. Thank you. But just some things I just cannot work out in my head. And for me, the whole idea of light traveling, I feel like there's a difference between light traveling and when you're observing something that's illuminated. And so, if we can see that geothermal station, to me, the geothermal station light is not traveling to my eyes. If somebody were there with a flashlight and was shining it, maybe that light is traveling, in a direction, it's being shot off from that flashlight or whatever. But I also think when you see something illuminated, it's just illuminated. And the way that I can say that is, let's say you have a laser, right? You're shooting the laser across the water. Okay, that light is traveling. But remember when we did the 4-mile test in the Monterey Bay, that we flipped the laser and we just shined it off of a rock. And then the person across the water was observing that with a zoomed in camera. To me, that's different. You know, when you shoot it across the water, yes, that laser light is traveling. But when I turn it on a rock that's near me and somebody's observing it, I don't feel like that's a traveling of light. But I understand that the mainstream belief is that any light that you're seeing is traveling to your eye, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that probably at this point then saying light is a rate of induction into the ether is probably a little bit off subject. but I mean, no, and I think I coined the term back then of taking the optics to the laser,
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of, you know, what you're doing. You're taking the optics to the light. And yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of different ways to look at this, but you know, one thing I will say is no matter how you look at it, it doesn't always have to be some magical ducting, refractive,
right.
Bouncing, ridiculous, you know, thing like the Globers try and claim that it is. In fact, it almost never is.
Yeah, we know that the refraction changes according to the conditions, and the light never ever bends, usually never bends in the direction they want it to bend anyway, even with the science that is out there. But one thing that Jaron said that reminded me of something from antiquity, because that is a discussion that goes back a long way. You know, how do we actually see things? You know, is it that, and some models in antiquity talk about your eyes actually doing some of the grabbing of this stuff, which is kind of what Jaron is almost suggesting here. Like a light hits something, this thing is illuminated, the light would have to come back, bounce back, and that's what happens in mirrors. We know. So in some level, everything is reflecting light. That's the idea, that how it propagates back.
Right.
But it's more, it seems to work more like water than anything else. And also it is the model from engineers. When they talk about electricity, they control it like water. But it's something we cannot see, right? But it's there, and it propagates. It's bizarre but it's there, and we know it, and right beyond our perception of our eyes, because we're tuned to certain frequencies, and we're very locked into what the perceptions of the body allow us to perceive. I guess if we could see all the radio waves, we would be freaked out, I guess, nowadays with the soup that we're on.
Yeah, no, and I'm in Bob's camp as far as the people we're trying to understand, get to understand this, or to get to see this, because there's just some people that won't see it no matter what. Independent Investigations Group proved that to me when they came out and drew those two circles and said, well, it wouldn't matter if you saw 500 miles. It's just simply traveling along the curve of the Earth. So I'm like, okay, well then why are you even here? I mean, why did they show up at the Salton Sea if there's nothing that could ever change their mind? And again, even if you could see the South Pole from the North Pole on their globe, they're just going to simply say that, no, that light is traveling along the curvature of the Earth. So like I said before, I mean, they have an easy out, right? Well, if you can see the item, it's because the Earth is curved. And if you cannot see the item, it's because the Earth is curved. Imagine what a great position that is to be in. Pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I can say about light traveling and that is that, you know, it's not like your vision or your camera optics are actually reaching out and going to the object. However, it is actually the light that it, you know, from whatever it is that is reaching your eye, right?
Right.
So that would be, you know, kind of a case for it. But again, that also goes back to, you know, the idea, the possibility of light being a rate of induction through the ether, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that for, you know, general explanation purposes, to simplify it and not just, you know, bend people's heads into is just simply say, okay, well, the light is propagating this way.
Right.
You know, and it's easier to understand that way. And it may be technically wrong,
right,
but it's a good way. It's an elementary way to understand it, I guess. So, you know,
yeah.
you deal with what you got.
No, and I've always talked about, you know, for me, it comes down to when we're talking about these distant observations, that you have to have line of sight. It's just, you know, especially when you're talking about the mirror observations, that, you know, to see a reflection in a mirror, you have to have a direct line of sight from your eye to that mirror. It's the only way that you can see a reflection in a mirror. And if there's anything blocking it, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whatever it is, I mean, people can just think of that. I mean, put somebody on the other side of a house, right? So you're on this side of the house, and you put somebody on the other side of the house, and they're trying to flash you with a mirror of the sun. reflection, you're never going to see it. Why? Because there's a house in the middle of you two, and your line of sight is blocked. Now, if that house started shrinking, as soon as that house got to the point where you had a line of sight to that mirror, that is the instant that you can see the reflection, and not a second before. There's no. Miss and I even tried it. We tried sending would you be able to see it? She basically stood on one side of the car. I stood on the other. I was flashing her with the mirror and trying to see, hey, even though the mirror is blocked, do you still see some sort of glint, some sort of flash? And the answer is absolutely no. Not until you have removed that obstruction. As soon as you remove the obstruction, as soon as you get the mirror above the top part of the car, that's the second that they can see the reflection. So with that being said, now instead of putting a house in between you and another person, put a 14-story building, put a 140 foot high obstruction, and then realize that they're claiming that light is traveling. You're flashing them with the mirror, and somehow that light is climbing that 140 foot building and coming back down into your eye. I think it's simply impossible. So they can believe whatever they want, and I'm going to head out there and observe, and then report back to people, and they can choose to believe what they want.
Yeah, you know that when they did the Einstein, what they claim to be the proof of some of Einstein's ideas is the supposed observation of Mercury coming from behind the sun before it was supposed to come behind the sun, meaning that its light would be bending around the mass of the sun and so on. And then they have the gravitational lensing thing, and that's one of the things that they claim to be a phenomenon that indicated that somehow proves relativity or whatnot. That Bob, and it was something they tried to do for years, and then eventually they got it. Some guy claims to have done it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a picture here of what a 140 foot building or so would look like. So you have to remember that if we have people on one side of the Salton Sea and people on the other side of the Salton Sea, and we're talking 27 miles difference, that this is the amount of hump of water that is supposed to be between you two. And actually, this building's probably less than 140 feet. But anyway, still, to think that somebody standing on this side could flash sun reflections to somebody standing on the other side is insane to me. So
yeah, you may see some incidental or refracted light, from the flash, but as far as the direct flash, and it's obvious when you've got the direct flash.
Right, very obvious, yeah.
So that it's amazing the length that the Globers go to, to try and justify their model. They're the ones that, they claim that we're making absurd claims, and it is in fact them that are making the unbelievably absurd claims about what is happening with this light. It's like, look, we can see it. Well, yeah, you're seeing it, but this is why it's doing this, that, and the other thing. It's like, did it ever occur to you that maybe we can see it because it's right there and there are no obstructions? Did that ever occur? Oh, no. That could never be the case, right?
Never.
It makes me crazy. These people are just idiots.
Yeah, and so you're right. I'm not trying to convince them, and there'll be no convincing of them. They're just like the IIG. It doesn't matter what we come back with. There's going to be an answer for it, especially when, as soon as I heard him say, well, you could do, because I said, well, what if we go out and do 30 miles tomorrow? He says, you could do 500 miles, and it's still going to be the same thing. I'm like, oh, boy. So, imagine that. Now if we are able to see, the maximum, we can even see mountains when the sun gets behind them, like Canigou at 175 miles. And, we think that's pretty impressive. And these guys are saying, well, even if you go out and observe 500 miles, it doesn't make a difference. So it's like, well, then, it just, did everybody see Taboo Conspiracy's new video?
Which one? I think I have, but the latest one that proves the... Oh, yes, that one with BLMSB Bose footage.
Right.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah, and it's just more of the same,
Yeah, we could come up with these all day long, every day. And yet the Globers have yet to come up with one single example of curvature. And if they do, they have to get it so contorted and tell this big story, or they promote something as absurd as Sound Lake.
Right, the bounty.
It's like, yep, here it is, curvature. Yeah. It's like,
or compressing the side of the image. That one was hilarious. That Red's rhetoric went crazy about.
Goodness. flattening it out, and then Jaron did the same thing with his granite countertop.
Oh my God.
So stupid.
Curvature. It's curvature.
Yeah. And that's when you just have to stop listening to those guys because it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna
For
say
me,
whatever,
that's
but
exactly what I thought. Exactly. And this is one of the things, like, what is hilarious about this whole thing, their denial of the observations, is that they're hanging on to what's actually a mix of religion with science fiction. It's like a Jesuit fiction that's bought up by all this kind of materialist side. It's like it's complete mumbo jumbo, but they're holding on with dear life to it. And look at what we're seeing here, like the double conspiracy video. Like, this is one of the things that impressed me the most recently, how you can see the horizon beyond these very distant objects. You see this in Jay Tolan as well. So that is a problem. They don't talk about that as well, but.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
That's a big one, yeah.
You're looking at it, and not only that, from that camera height, the horizon's supposed to be like 3 miles away. So not only are you seeing 6 and 9, but then we're seeing horizon beyond that. So then they have to get really creative, because then the only explanation for it at this point is then light must be refracting, so it's moving the obstruction from in front of it at 3 miles all the way back to the back, but then it's refracting the light upward on the back platform. It's like, oh my God.
oh, it's so
It's
bad.
like, oh, it's so pathetic.
And
it's like, guys, just acknowledge that it's there. There's no damn curvature. Give me a break.
Yeah, and that would be the biggest thing, Bob, in the if everybody had just done that from the beginning, is say, you know what, guys, you're right. We are seeing too far. And we do, it is weird that this is happening, and it is weird that the math says that at a foot that the horizon should be 1.2 miles, and yet we're seeing the horizon line well past that third, station there. If they would just acknowledge that, it would be so much better, and we'd be able to move on. The problem is that they won't even acknowledge that. So they'll just say, "Oh, you guys are making things up. You're lying. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand science. You don't understand." No, they can't. And and you're right, Rodrigo. I mean, for me, going back to the Salton Sea again, I can't wait to put my camera down at 1 foot above the water and observe, because I always forget that there's a mathematic equation for where the horizon line should be, and that should be the leading edge of a sphere.
And that's what, 3 miles, you said?
1 foot, it's 1.2 miles. So, I mean, if you put your camera down at 1 foot and you're seeing things beyond that, or seeing a horizon line beyond those items, those objects, I mean, that's crazy. That's what's so great about these observations, right? If I go to the Salton Sea, it's a little tough. There's nothing out in the water that are known distances. These, what are they called? I keep calling them stations.
The platforms?
Yeah, platforms. That they know the distance of those. So when you get that camera down low and you're able to, see where they're at and where the horizon line should be, people forget the fact that the horizon line should be at 1.2 miles, meaning that all those things, you shouldn't be able to see the water that they're sitting in or the water beyond it.
Then the whole evidence from periscopes is absolutely destroys the whole thing, right? That it's shattering the whole thing with periscopes, because who has talked to people who operated periscopes? Mark Sargent, at least, right?
Yeah.
And they certainly don't pop out of the water far enough that you'd be able to see much further than 5 miles or so.
Oh, they say you can see 100, right?
Who was it that did the video where they're like, oh, nope, they're panning around with the periscope, and it's like, oh, nope, that's a...
David allegedly Dave did it.
Allegedly Dave, nope, can't shoot at that one. That's obviously a mirage. And it's like, yeah, if the entire military acted like that, I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, and they know that full well. They're not compensating for refraction or curvature or anything like that. Railguns, same thing. These things are shooting 100+ miles line of sight, and first of all, at 100 miles, you should be 1.3 miles below the atmosphere. Or the horizon, I mean. It's like, it's just, it's crazy. But yeah, we could, we've literally kind of bitched about this for, 4 or 5 years. And that's why, we just keep showing these proofs over and over and new proofs all the time, to just keep reinforcing it. Because again, the people that we are trying to convince are not the Reg Rhetorics, are not the Sean Huffords, are not any of these people that, are satellite TV dish installers that think they know how it all works. And therefore, there can be no curvature.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I understand that. A lot of people just can't they can't get around it. But they keep listening, they keep watching, and I think there's a reason, because they know something is up. They know something is weird. They can't figure out what it is, and for us, there's a lot of observations are weird, because there is times where you can't see across bodies of water. And again, I could easily chalk that up to curvature and just walk away and be done. Go back to my.
Well, I cannot see across the valley some days here in the morning. Like, I cannot see anything. And then at night when it's clear, I can see so far. I mean,
well, that's so true.
It's the same. It's all flat here.
And it's the same here. When I look around during the summer and stuff, I mean, I can't see the mountains that surround me, at least to my east. I mean, there's no mountains to my west. But, I just see basically what looks like, I guess you could call it the leading edge of a sphere. It'd be very easy to look off to my east and say, oh, that's where the edge of the Earth is, and that's why I can't see further than that. But then during the winter, all of a sudden, I can see the mountains. I mean, there's places near me that can see Half Dome at Yosemite. They're just, there it is. So it's like what Bob says, what you see is what you get. But sometimes, the atmospheric conditions don't allow you to see far distances, and it'd be very easy to chalk that up all the time to just curvature. You'd be able to go
there's
out and
temperature and humidity making a big difference there, very clearly. And it would be interesting to see the difference that you notice when you go to Salton Sea and make your observations compared to what you have already.
Yeah, no, and that's what was so tough about it too, is having to wait the 6 months, or it'll be about 5 months difference in time versus I forgot when we went in June, and then we're going to go now, so that's about 5 months. But
yeah, and okay, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and it makes a lot more sense to do it in the wintertime anyway, because of all the refraction that does happen in the summer. And I was going to also mention, I don't know if you guys have seen the new Grotto 1 video where he is going along, what is it, Manitoba Lake or something like that. Again, a frozen lake, this time 8 miles, pretty similar to the one he did, 2-3 years ago, to 7.5 miles. And he's installing these red and blue lights, and then he's just tracking them all the way out. And here's the thing. Here's why that is such a beautiful experiment. And that is because the only time that you have refraction is when you have a density medium change. Now, and a change in density altitude, if you want to put it in like pilot terms. But essentially, there has to be a change in temperature or something that causes the medium itself to change in order to cause light to refract. Well, when you are above a lake that is, well, first of all, it's a lake and it's frozen. Well, it's going to be level, first of all. And second of all, you've got the temperatures that are below freezing, while all the humidity essentially is frozen out of the air at that point. And it's not likely that there's going to be any significant temperature change, if any at all, anywhere along that frozen lake path, right? Therefore, the possibility of refraction is reduced to virtually zero, right? And then you do this test, and of course, we already know what the outcome is going to be. You're essentially going to be able to see almost forever, right? And then they simply cannot use the refraction excuse or ducting excuse, because the atmospheric variables are simply removed out of that equation. And that's why I think, doing things in cold temperatures or freezing temperatures are absolutely ideal for, so-called curvature tests.
One thing I didn't know if I mentioned, but I think if I remember what Wendell was telling me, I think that Bear Lake freezes. Do you remember, Rodrigo? Did you? I don't know if you were anywhere near that.
I don't. Well, it's far north enough into what is it, Wyoming?
Yeah,
that
I'll look it up.
Should be frozen, but I don't know. I haven't been there.
Because maybe that
I've been
Bear
to
Lake,
Yellowstone.
Maybe that Bear Lake is going to be frozen. I think I remember him saying that now. The one I was showing earlier that's up north. Of course, Salton Sea would never freeze, but Bear Lake might. I'll actually check that out right now. And
we didn't even have snow here yet, and it's quite unusual.
Does Bear Lake freeze? Oops, that wasn't spelled anywhere near right. During normal winters, the lake freezes over in January. The ice has been known to freeze as much as 3 feet deep. Towards the end of January, a small fish unique only to Bear Lake, known as, begins its annual spawn. Oh, so maybe it is going to be, during normal winters, the lake freezes over in January. So maybe it will be frozen.
Awesome. Of course, what was it? The lake in Hungary that was supposed to freeze over too didn't.
Right.
But
forgot the name.
I forgot the name
skies.
of it.
If you get really nice, not overcast nights, you can get, some long exposures and star trails and stuff. It's also really cool for star observations at night. I'm not sure how long you're staying there, but those areas when it's very dry and you have it's just incredible. I remember in southern Utah, it was just like the craziest, most beautiful sky I've ever seen. Camping out 100 miles away from the closest town, we don't have glare from the city lights, and what you can see is just astounding. Quite interesting to try and get those cameras pointing to some of the features in the sky as well.
Yeah,
Why not?
Bob always tells me about the stars up there in the mountains of Colorado. I got to check it out one day.
Oh yeah,
sure.
I imagine it's just as crazy there.
It's
It must be
remarkable.
amazing.
The stars literally, when we go up camping, they literally take on a 3D effect. You can see, depth in them. It's crazy. It's beautiful. But that's something that's really cool about Colorado. I think that you don't see in a lot of other places is that depth of the stars.
Do you go north, east? Where do you go from Denver? Like you get away from Denver to see better stars? Is that what you do? And pretty much anywhere, I guess it'd be nice.
Yeah, you can go. The best place is to go, obviously, the west is where the mountains are. And, you go up to 10, 11,000 feet, and it's just absolutely gorgeous up there. But you can also go out to eastern Colorado on the plains where all the farmland is. And, of course, there's like virtually zero light pollution out there. And it's so dark, you can't even see the nose in front of your face. And that's another really good place also. But, of course, you've got a lot more atmosphere because the altitude is about another 10,000 foot lower there. So, but yeah, the mountains are definitely the best place to view the stars.
Yeah.
In my opinion, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and when it's dry like that, and it's incredible. I really I miss kind of those trips there because southern Utah. I've been to even Mesa Verde is in Colorado.
Mesa Verde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another place I've been. Is astounding as well. All those areas there are so beautiful, and whatever used to be there. But yeah, it's just fascinating how it just does look like what you would call another planet because it is what they modeled their Mars off right now. We know.
Yeah, I used to live in Colorado Springs, but I wasn't awake, so I certainly wasn't paying attention to the sky. But would love to go back and check that out because I've only had one real good view of the sky in the past few years that I remember, and it's shocking. When you actually see it for what it is, it's amazing. It's like a canopy that's right on top of you. It's nothing like what you see in the city. In the city, you look up and you see 25 stars or something. But we see. I mean, when you get out there I forgot where we were driving down south. I think we were going down to Temecula or something, and happened to pull off some road and looked up and was like, holy smokes, look at this. Hardcore Ninja Kendall sent a super chat. He says the U.S. in World War II used balloon decoy tanks. So does NASA now. Yeah, did you see that video Dave sent the other day with the guys moving the tanks and everything? They're just blow up balloons.
The whole division that are like actors, and they brought on rubber blow up tanks and servicemen and. Yeah, that was a technique that actually apparently worked very, very well for them.
Right.
And NASA does the same thing, obviously.
Right.
And speaking of NASA, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Red's rhetoric and what they're claiming about the infamous rat on the rocket, right? What they're saying it is?
Ice? I don't know.
They're saying it's ice. It's ice, right? Ice on this supposedly absolutely red hot rocket nozzle, right? It's like, and I thought, and they say that a mouse there is preposterous.
Oh boy!
Wow, I know.
Oh, boy.
It's all that ice that surrounds the Earth, and the ice is space. The ice vacuum is space. It's a dark matter ice, probably.
Yep.
So I'm excited about Sunday, Bob. We have a new Globebuster. Everyone should head over to the Globebusters channel and look at the most recent video, which is Meet Austin Whitsitt, our newest Globebuster. How's the response been so far, Bob?
Everybody really likes him a lot. He's, here's what I'll say about Austin. I mean, he's a newbie. There's no doubt about that. He's very new in this. But what I like about him, and this is kind of what I was trying to bring to Globebusters. I mean, we've always had, really great people on Globebusters and everything. But I wanted to kind of bring in a different demographic, if you will. Mm-hmm. And even though Austin is very new to this, he's very quick and he's very bright, and, he's really eager, and he's really, I don't know. He's fresh. He's fresh. He's really got a great attitude.
And here's the
thing. How old is he, Bob?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I'd say maybe his mid-20s.
Here's something that's good about Fresh Voices, too, is that he said so many things in, just this short video that I had never heard put in the way that he put them. And it just makes you, think, and you're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And for somebody even like me, that I'm just like, wow, that's an interesting way to say that. In fact, I'll pick up on some of the things that he said and carry them forward. So we'll just listen to a little bit. I didn't really pick out a spot.
Had to come up with a conceptual abstraction known as dark matter to occupy 95% of the universe. The same exact scientific consensus, the scientific community that brought you the idea that you evolved from apes with no tangible evidence of such a thing ever, no observable intermediate species in the history of mankind. Oh, the same scientific community that told you that everything came from nothing, because they can't just admit divinity. They can't just concede the logical nature in the fact that there is some creating force. They can't acknowledge that, so they come up with complete nonsense, completely void of any reality, and somehow we're the crazy ones, because we're humble enough to say, well, we don't know what the Earth is, current model clearly isn't right, it's got way too many discrepancies. We don't know the fact about exactly who God is, or whatever, you can acknowledge the metaphysical or spiritual without being religious necessarily, and I try to keep these more informative or educational.
So yeah, I think it's great. I think he's going to be a great addition. I think I feel like Bob, picked up a free agent on the free agent wire.
Yeah,
some sort of support. Nice pickup, Bob. It's going to help the team. It should be fun, and it'll be great to have somebody a new fresh voice, and we always love that. And like I said, he just said some things, and if people don't know what video that is Meet Austin Whitsitt, our newest Globebuster, and it is the most recent video on the Globebusters channel. But once you listen to that, you'll just see why it's good to hear a new voice, and it's good to have a new perspective on it. And even some of the ways, Bob, that he was describing the gravity situation made me hear it in a different way again. Which is always interesting. And every time you hear it from a different perspective, you're like, oh, okay, I get it a little bit more. So I'm excited to have him join the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a really good thing. Obviously, he's a student of, he likes Ken Wheeler's work a lot. Right. And he's also reading. That's the other thing I like about him. He's reading this really high level material of the physicists and engineers that were around before Einstein that absolutely knew of the ether's existence, that absolutely knew how things work so much better than before Einstein derailed them. And, he gets it. And I really appreciate that about him, because these are the guys that were truly the pioneers of everything that we have today that's electrical. Right. And also for Brian out there, Austin's links are in that video that Jaron just showed. So if you go to Globebusters' last video that says Meet Austin Whitsitt, you will find the links to his Facebook page and his YouTube page. And by the way, guys, Austin only has a phone. He does not have a laptop. He's trying to get a laptop. But so what that means is that he's kind of restricted to a mobile device, and that also means that he cannot do live streams until he reaches 1,000 subs. So, and I think he's at 500 subs, or he's about halfway there, something like that. So if you guys could get over there and give him a sub so he can actually start doing these rants on YouTube, that would be great. But up until now, Austin has been doing his rants on Facebook, and you can go there, check out his page, and you can see what he says. And I like his attitude and his enthusiasm, and that's what really attracted me to the idea of bringing him onto the Globebusters team. So there you have it.
Great, yeah, and I'll put that link to his channel, because his channel, I just checked it, has 571.
I try to search for it and it doesn't come up. Whitsitt.
Hold on, I just had it.
It's Whitsitt. Yeah, go ahead and just click into that link.
Hold on, let me see if I messed up here. Where did I go? Let me put it here, paste. The channel is, come on. Whitsitt,
Whitsitt
gets it.
Gets it. That's right. He changed it.
Gets it.
Did you find it?
Got it. Found it.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me bring that up for everybody. Shoot, I didn't have that up. All right, so here's the
he said,
channel here,
yeah.
but I'll put the link into the description. So as soon as this show's over, if you look at the show notes, actually I'll put it right at the top spot. I think Karen B's there. I'll pull Karen B or put it right above her. So Witsit gets it 573. Oh, I'm not subscribed. I think I subscribed for the Jeranism Raw one.
Don't.
Don't.
All right.
Now
And I will
I think this is really good what you said, Bob. That it's a great move to have people coming from a younger kind of demographic that can communicate to younger audience as well. To and because they'll be coming up, and you found somebody who's particularly active. What was he doing? You say that he was doing a lot on Facebook. That's how you found out about his work.
Yeah, that's how I found out. He would post. I'm a moderator on the official Globe Earth and Flat Earth discussion group. Nathan Thompson's group, and I would see his posts there all the time, and I loved him every time I saw him. And I just told him one day, I said, look, I just put you on automatic approve because I think you've got a lot to say and a lot of good things, coming out of you. And that kind of spurred on this conversation. So, and then I went back and I looked at all of his rants, going back, a month or two. And he's even done a couple debates with some other people, some of the trolls, which, honestly, at this point, I really don't feel like anybody should be giving him the time of day. But, he holds his own pretty well. With them. And I just think that, he's got a lot to learn, but he also is a quick learner. He's super enthusiastic and he's sharp as a tack. And, I just can't see anything but good coming from that. That's what you need,
exactly, because also to ask the right questions, to react as well. As you say, right, he's coming in hot for new information, and he's going through the hard work, which is, going back into before the paradigm veil, whatever comes out, right, and covers up everything, like Einstein. This is what we need. We need people looking into those historical records and to restructure the paradigm, to bring it back to, finally kick out all the bullshit. And it's going to have to be people coming up from the hot into it, I think, because you need that momentum. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. For sure. And Zach and I are both dropping in his links in the YouTube chat. So just click in there, and Jaron will have them in the show notes also. But if we can get him to 1,000 people, like I said, because he's only got, I don't know if he's got an iPhone or an Android, but whatever, he's only got a mobile device, then he can start doing his rants on YouTube. And I think that'll be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, people should do that. And I didn't say hello to everybody on the D-Live platform. I know you guys are listening there too. So maybe he can get on there as well, but let's get him some subs on YouTube so that he can start doing live streams, like Bob said. Should be good this Sunday. Is
Yeah, he can do that. It's just that you can't live stream until you get that 1,000 views from a mobile device.
And I don't know what it's. I've never uploaded videos from the phone to YouTube. I bet it's a pain.
You can go live straight on the phone, I think, right away. Like you press a button and you're live and it's already on.
No, I'm talking about if he were to, you said, putting his stuff that he already has done on Facebook onto YouTube. I think that'd be kind of a pain to do if you only had a phone. Is what I'm saying.
Zach did that for the longest time. And then, Zach, good times for all. And then, of course, when he came here to help us get the house ready to move, part of my compensation, let's just say, for all the things he did to help us out, is I built him a system, and boy, that was a good move, because has he been turning out some great videos since I did that.
Right.
So that was awesome.
Bob, you should do that for a living. You just sell people systems, because I love my computer. I mean, the second.
Is that what you did, Bob? You set up a computer for him in a way that would be productive for his work. Is that it?
Yeah, for me. Well, yeah, I think for me, he did it. At least this computer is great. It renders almost in real speed. I know it has a lot to do with the programs you use. I'm sure if I used a better program, I might do it. But it had a terabyte of drive space, and then it also had another drive, which I don't even know how to describe that, Bob. How do you describe it? Because I also have another terabyte drive on here. I basically have two.
Yeah, put 2 terabyte drives, one for archiving or whatever, and then we also put 16 gigs of RAM and a decent video card, which helps with the rendering. So, and we did it on a fairly shoestring budget. It was kind of a combination between new parts and parts from systems that I had around in the house, and we built I built Jaren a really nice system out of it, and you've been using it for what, 3 years now at least, right? 4 years?
Yeah, 3 years with no issues. I mean, one time I had to get in there and reset the video card a little bit because it was flashing on my screen a little bit, but that fixed it. And so yeah, I've had no issues with it. I mean, the second anything bad happens to it, and I knock on wood that nothing does, but even if it's in 6 months that something bad happens to it, I mean, I'll be coming to you and saying, all right, build me another one, and I'll pay you for it because you can't complain, I think, if a computer lasts you 3, 4, 5 years, and especially with as much work as I do and as much stuff as that is saved. I mean, I've got so much shit everywhere, and yeah, I do use some backup hard drives, and I have a what is it called, My Drive or Live Drive or something. I don't know. It's like I have a 4 terabyte, which I think Bob actually sent me for.
I did. I got you as a Christmas gift.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
Yep. It's cloud kind of thing, cloud drive type of thing.
Yeah, I've got a 4 terabyte, which is great because I can access it from anywhere. So it's access it from my phone. Missa can access it from her computer. I can access it from my garage PC, which is the computer I had before Bob built me this one. I just moved it to the garage, and all of it is can go right away. You just go to network drives, and it's right there. It's called, I think we call it Campanella Cloud or something. And you just click on that, and then all my files are there, and that's 4 terabytes, that's getting a little full, but everything just runs fantastic. So I Bob, thank you very much. I've never said thank you publicly for all that, but certainly
you're very welcome.
Yes, but no, it's been huge and very helpful, and for all the stuff I have saved and all the stuff on the desktop and all the stuff in the downloads, and computer runs great, can't complain. So if people need a computer, maybe reach out to Bob. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, now I've got Jaren building systems. He wanted to,
nice.
My Jaren, my son Jaren wanted to build a computer, and of course, like you said, he's been making money from working for Epic Games as a hacker.
Nice
so
gig.
He's been earning all this money, so he went and he bought the parts for an absolute smoking killer machine. In fact, it's one of the most powerful machines I've ever built. And I built it with him. I taught him how to build it and put it together. And not like it's hard or anything, but it's just kind of a nice sense of accomplishment. And he was really proud of the fact that he was able to get it together. And I was just right there with him, and we built it. And that thing just runs like a screaming eagle, I'll tell you. So,
and it's really nice when you get a PC like when you sent me, Bob, and it doesn't have all the crap that comes with PCs. If you go buy a PC from Best Buy or something, it seems like you spend the first week deleting things.
Uninstalling everything.
Everything. It's just a pain in the butt. And with this one, it just seemed like right out of the box, it's like perfect, everything you need, and then you can start downloading the different programs you want or different programs you need, and it's just been running great since then. So, no, that's awesome, and I'm happy Jaren's doing that. Maybe he can try my next one.
Yeah. He figured it out. So,
very cool.
And yeah, really happy to see that about him. But anyway, hey, did you guys see this morning? I don't know if you guys ever watch Robin's drive time videos on Fridays. It's his Friday show that he does, Lifting the Lid, Robin.
Right.
But he was showing something this morning, and I'm going to have to get that link, but he was showing that, the Wright brothers flight, and how it was basically pieced together, and we never actually see, the flight itself, but nothing but a bunch of pieced together things. And there's actually some fairly amazing evidence that production in and of itself was just that, a production. It was more of a movie thing, a movie construct than anything else. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, my God, have they told us the truth about anything?
No.
It is very interesting because in Brazil, they claim that the Wright brothers idea is a conspiracy theory or like a attempt to hijack history because...
Wow, really?
In Brazil... Yeah, because they believe that it was Santos Dumont, this Brazilian guy, who flew the first plane, the 14 bis, it was called. And his statues are all over the country, and he's credited with having invented a wristwatch because of keeping track of gadgets in his machine that flew, this airplane. And they think that Americans came up with this Wright brothers story to take away the steal the thunder kind of thing. but I don't know. You can look him up. Santos is Drummond, the way you write it, and it is the name Drummond. Coincidentally, is the name of the if I'm not mistaken, the asshole in the film Contact. Something like that, something similar to, if you remember.
Oh,
that.
yeah, that guy. Yes, I know who you're talking about. He is in Contact. I can't remember the actor's name, but anyway.
Bob,
with
no,
the mustache.
They don't tell us the truth about anything. You know, the more you look at this stuff and you realize how easy it was in the past for them to tell fabrications. I mean, it would have been so easy. It's so easy now, let alone 20 years ago, 50 years ago.
Well, think about that news piece from 1930 or 29 that talks about them photographing the curvature, right? It says they photographed the curvature, and it shows you a photograph that has no curvature in it.
Right.
That's okay.
And people just suck it up, believe it.
People just kind of suck it up. Look at the photograph. There's no curvature. But yeah, they're saying there is, and they photographed it, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the whole... man, they've done a lot of stuff on... What was the first flight across the Atlantic again? Lindbergh, right?
Yeah, Charles Lindbergh.
There's a lot with that that's questionable. You know, a lot of people question a lot that went on with that. I mean, the story that he tells is that he slept on the plane on the way there. And
yeah, right.
That's what he says, and that he was he flew most of the way there. He was 40 feet above the water, or something at times. I don't know. It's just when you read the story, like, this is such nonsense. I mean, that's what I feel a lot about the Captain Cook stories, and that's why I think when you get to a certain point, and I mean 20 years ago, when you get beyond
have you seen there's a movie with the English actor? No, I forget his name. He's the one that has a film with the English has the king has a stutter. The same actor. I forgot his name. He's quite famous. I won't remember. But I saw a film that he's so he goes into it's a race to sail around the world.
Oh, Peter O'Toole, by any chance?
No, I don't think it's Peter O'Toole.
Okay.
It's a recent film, and it's about this guy in England who comes up with a boat that he claims is going to go around the world. He's going to sail around the world. And he enters this race, and it's like a race to go around the world. And what happens is that he fakes it. Again, he cannot do it. He barely manages to get into Africa. So he just goes to Argentina, pretends to gets into all kinds of trouble, lives there as a kind of outcast, and then he comes back pretending he went around. And he dies. He wanted to pretend, and it's this whole thing. The whole film's about him lying to the whole world, and people thinking that he's actually going around. Oh yeah, he goes on the radio and claims that he's going around the world, contacting them, but he's just in Argentina or somewhere. And then he kills himself in the ocean. That's what it is. But that's the last couple of years. I thought it was curious, the whole thing, because it had radio and it had this whole sailing around the world. And the whole thing had a fraud involved in it, so which is
Hey, somebody in the chat is saying that I was on Jimmy Kimmel the other night. 2 nights ago.
Your face was on there, at least.
It was. Oh, why was I on Jimmy Kimmel? Was that part of his? Oh,
you didn't see that whole piece?
Well, I saw the piece, but I didn't know I was in it.
Oh,
I never remember seeing that guy.
That guy, Bob.
No, the guy, the dude that was, trolling everybody. I heard about him at the conference. I know that, Rick called him out and basically just gave him hell because Rick happens to know the producers of Jimmy Kimmel and all that stuff. So I heard all the stories about it, but I don't ever remember seeing the guy himself at all. And now they're saying that my face was in that, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because that piece starts out, and maybe we could do a video on it. The problem with it is I can't show it because the second I show it, I wonder if I showed it without playing it. I'll bring it up.
Found the film for you guys here. It's called The Mercy from 2018. It's with Colin Firth. That was the guy I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Today's a notable day for our galaxy.
So this character that showed up in a conference it's such a shot in the foot. It's unbelievable. It's embarrassing that they did that sketch. This guy is the most annoying thing I've ever seen, and perhaps one of the most stupid things I've ever seen in my life that I can actually call stupid. This guy that went to the conference. I just couldn't believe just how annoying he is. I don't think it's going to help the ball.
So bad. It was so stupid. I mean, it just goes to show you what these guys are doing. I mean, it was just so stupid. I'm not going to play this, obviously. Actually, let me do it in this one. This will be easier. And then I got to click this off real quick. And all right. Ah, what happened?
Okay.
I lost it. There we
Ruh-roh.
go. Oh, there we go.
It's amazing somebody actually goes and does that.
I think
gets
that the
paid
part
for
you're
it.
talking about was right here, Bob.
It's just,
let's see here.
just couldn't believe it.
No, it's so bad. And people can watch it. It's called Jake Bird at the Flat Earth Conference. It was absolutely horrendous. But
it was, oh God, it was all they did was make themselves look like a bunch of retards. That guy was just beyond belief. But yeah, I don't recall. I did watch that entire clip, but I don't recall seeing myself in there at all.
Well, there's you right there.
Oh, there's me, the back of my head. Okay, well, I'll be damned.
And then I think when he's sitting here, because I was sitting right next to you. So here's you, because this is me. So he was sitting right behind me and was just bugging me the whole time. It's like, who is this guy? Because he was just making dumb comments and standing up on his legs and clapping. Here's me, here's Bob.
Oh, was he the guy that kept saying, "Go to settings"? Was that him?
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, I remember him. I never did see who it was though.
Right, and then also I think there's another. We were being interviewed behind him. Maybe it's here. Yep, there's us.
I thought it might have been the incident you mentioned, Bob, because there were other people ejected, right? You talked about that.
Yeah, George Nutsack was, and some other people, were ejected.
and then
and I'm proud to say I had just about everything to do with that. Thank you very much.
And I guess from what I heard, these people weren't blurred out in the original video.
No, they weren't, and that. Yeah, I won't say who the guy was, but he had some issues with that, obviously.
I heard the same.
Yeah, it was. It got heated over that, and that's when Rick stepped in and said, "Look, Rick knew the Jimmy Kimmel producers, and apparently is friends with one of them very closely, and that's why they finally decided to capitulate and blur out some of the faces." So,
right.
But yeah, what a bunch of crap that was. That guy was just an idiot.
Yeah, this guy jumped up here and was saying, "Oh, NASA stands for never a truth told," or just stupid stuff. And here's my hat. See, I made Jimmy Kimmel. There we go. But yeah, it was just terrible. And these people, like this guy here, was being interviewed, and this guy would just step in and make a mockery, and this guy here was being interviewed, and then this guy steps in and makes a mockery. So that's all it is, and people can search. It's called Jake Bird at Flat Earth Conference and Jimmy Kimmel Live. But hopefully, I don't get any copyright. That would be really sad if I get copyright complaint on that.
Nah, for stills, I don't think they could do that, especially since we're commenting on it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't stop them from trying.
No, and I certainly am not going to play it because anything like that, any mainstream thing, if you dare try and play it at all, they pick it up. So. Yeah. But I was going to do a video on it, and then I immediately thought, well, they're just going to get copyright complaint on it, and it's going to get blocked or whatever. But maybe doing something on D Live, or even if I do it with stills, just to. But again, it's people can check it out, but it's terrible. I mean, it's not even like I don't know how it's even comedy. And if you listen to the laugh tracks that are put in there, I don't even think it's real.
Desperate laugh tracks is what Louisa said immediately. They're like, oh goodness, somebody's going crazy with the laugh tracks. It's kind of like over the top, exaggerated.
And you can
it's
even
not
hear
funny, and
laughing
they try to force you to read.
Exactly. I was going to say the exact thing. Laughing at things that it's not even a funny point. It's just, I don't know. And again, people, if they've ever been to those events, there's of course an applause sign. That,
and it is possible to make humor with Flat Earth. That would work. Even remember the guy that makes the impressions. He was imitating a Flat Earth, and that was funny. Everybody thought that was funny because it wasn't stupid. Right. It was something else. It was just what someone that makes impressions does. So
yeah. Anyways, pretty bad. So
poor form, and you would have thought, even like Mark Sargent was talking about it with Russian vids that I was watching just today, and he was saying there's so many better ideas. He could have pretended that he was a descendant of Admiral Byrd, I think Mark Sargent suggested. That would be quite an interesting way to break in and try to come up with some funny character in a conference like that. And maybe I don't know. I don't think there shouldn't be someone trying something, but trying in a way that's respectful, trying to make fun of it in a way that's respectful. Of course, it would help us, and they don't want that.
No, and so they do a good job of making sure they never play any good points, right? I mean, obviously they're not going to do that. They're not going to play part of Bob's speech or part of my speech or part of anybody's presentation. They're just not going to do that. So what it comes across, and you have to remember, I mean, how many people have seen that video? It's only got 500,000 views. But I'm sure the amount of people that see the late night show is more than that. It's probably in the low millions.
Maybe
but again,
people get scared because they see, I can imagine if I believe this and then I get this beast of an idiot unleashed on me.
Right. Or if I go to this event, I'm just going to be made fun of. And the weirdest thing about me is that guy made me, and I still don't know to this day. Do you know, Bob, was he faking that injury?
I have no idea. Yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But at one point,
he was faking everything else, so why not?
Why not? Yeah, one time
I think he was because he was jumping on it and doing all kinds of stuff he wouldn't do.
I wouldn't think so either. And at one time I was walking by and he was kind of leaning against the wall, and I just kind of said, like, jokingly, like, "What are you holding the wall up?" Because that's a funny joke when somebody's leaning against the wall. And he turned to me and he said, "Can't you see that I'm injured? Can't you see that I've got an injured leg?" And I was like, "Oh, my bad, sorry." Okay. And then I felt really bad for him and that was before he was sitting behind me and stuff. So
tricked you.
Yeah, he tricked me. So when he was sitting behind me and was making outlandish comments and stuff, I was just really quiet and kind of letting him get away with anything because I was like, "Oh, I feel bad. I already made fun of this guy for saying, 'Are you holding up the wall?' And I didn't mean to imply oh, you're, I just was just making a joke, and this guy took it the wrong way." And so it's just really funny. Then you find out that he was, controlled opposition or whatever you want to call it, just a doofus. There to make trouble, and I didn't know that car that somebody had drove. You remember that car, Bob, that was sitting out on the street when we were that was his car?
Oh, the old POS. Yes.
Yeah. See, I had no idea. I mean, I was out there. I remember filming it and being like, "Oh, somebody drove this car here." I mean, think of how bad that makes everything look. Because at the time, why would somebody do this to their car and drive it here? It doesn't even look like it's drivable.
What was it? What happened?
The car that he arrived in was sitting out on the street right next to the hotel. Let me see if I can find a picture of it here, because it's right at the beginning.
It was a complete piece of crap. There it is.
There it is. Right there. People can see it. Let's go to this one because it's smaller. Yeah, so this car was sitting out there, and at first you're looking at it, you're like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," because it says Earth is flat. Google 200 proofs, flat and motionless. But at the same time, I was like, I can't believe somebody just drove this here and parked it right here, and then you find out that that's him. At least, I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's not, but he kind of popped out from it like it was. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it's a wreck. And of course, the whole idea is that he's trying to cast this personification of flat earthers being country bumpkins with no intellect, complete brainless twits,
right.
Hillbillies, whatever. And so that's exactly how he came out and portrayed himself. "Oh yeah, I'm a flat earther," right. And it's just so pathetic. And that literally is all they have. It's all they have.
Yeah,
it's so pathetic.
That's right.
So what do you expect, huh? From people like that?
Yeah, but I do think that for a reasonable person who has no beef on it, no dog in race, when they look at something like this, they're like, "This is a little bit over the top and it's dumb."
Right.
It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, the most annoying thing. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he was strolling the Flat Earth Conference. It's just, I've never seen someone who's basically an annoying idiot being considered funny.
Right. That's a good point.
Like that.
Yeah.
No. It's pretty sad when they have to, insert a laugh track to tell people when to laugh. It's like, this is funny, guys, laugh.
Right.
It's like, wow, that is the worst kind of comedy, and I really started to pay a lot of attention to that, in a lot of old TV shows that are really just stupid, how often they use the laugh track.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I guess that's your cue. You're supposed to laugh. And of course, just like the group mentality.
Right. That's conditioning, right?
Yeah, that's the Pavlov's dog conditioning right there.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. It would be interesting to actually look into the history of the laugh track, actually, to see, how it was first used, who came up with it, and why. Because it does set that up. It sets you up.
Yeah, it does. That's why I respect shows that have that, don't have that are comedy. I mean, I'll decide when I'll laugh. You don't need to tell me what's funny and what's not.
But it's usually television stuff, right? It's not in films. You don't see that in films. See in television.
Not films. No. I've never seen a film with a laugh track really.
Yeah, when something's funny, I mean, it just comes out. One thing that Austin said in his little rant, that the first time Cammie and I both heard it, and Zach too, we just cracked up, is he goes, yeah, I don't really like to speak Hebrew because I don't like to spit when I talk. Right. And the way he said it was just so freaking funny.
It's good stuff.
Yep. No laugh track required for that. That was just funny.
No. All right, well, we're going to keep this show short.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're already at 2 hours, so I've got to get on the road. I still haven't packed. I've got all my equipment ready, but not any clothes or anything. And got to start the drive down south. It's already 2 here, so I'm not going to get there till 9 or 10 tonight. Anyway, so yeah, check out my channel though for sure, everybody. If you want to, I'm sure I'll go live at some point tomorrow, maybe on the drive down there. Who knows? See how I feel. But just keep an eye on my channel. You never know when I might be going live. And make sure you check out, I will be heading back on Sunday, Bob. So I'll be in my car for Globebusters. So I'll be on there, and I'll just make sure I keep myself on mute when I'm not talking, so you don't have to hear the noise of the 101 or the 99 or the 5 or whatever I'm on. So everybody, check out for sure Globebusters this coming Sunday. That's in 2 days. That'll be at 12 noon Pacific, same time as this, and we'll have Austin joining us, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Anything else coming up? Anything else you want to plug? Do they have Ironworks today?
Yep, they do. They have Iron Realm Media, Ironworks at I think about 3:30, something like that. Oh, just about now. So it should be coming on next. So join us over there for the party.
Awesome. And how about you? Anything going on, Rodrigo, that people need to know about?
Finishing up something I'm writing for the Brazilian thing that I was going to do, and it became a bit too large, got carried away, and then it's going to be some sort of pamphlet now, because it's already at around 50, 70 page range on crop circles and aliens. And our position vis-a-vis that, and with alien propaganda, and then telling the story of the occultists behind NASA and how they started first contacting these beings that then get transferred into through several means into these aliens that we have. Actually, the people who follow Aleister Crowley, they actually try to evoke some of these creatures that they think are extraterrestrials and so on and so forth. But, down to, how crop circles are probably a kind of psyop. There's many indications that that's what it is, just propaganda. There's so many indications, in my opinion. And then we discussed a little bit with Bob last time what were some of the most intriguing things, and we have a kind of position on that. So just trying to write it out ended up being a little bit bigger. Then there's no problem. We'll condense it for the magazine and then come out with something more substantial and move on from there. Because it's what I ended up doing. So I like to just follow what's happening and
All right, sounds good.
See if we can pull that out.
All right, so everybody keep an eye on my channel, like I said, for this weekend to see what happens down at Salton Sea, and I'll be talking about that obviously on Globebusters and then on Raw on Monday. And got a couple things going on next week. An interview with Lindsay from Rogue Ways is on Thursday. I believe that's going to be on DLive only. I'll be on her channel, so it won't really be on mine, but I'll talk about that in the coming days. You'll be hearing from me. And thank you, Rodrigo, for being on. Thank you, Bob, for joining us. And thank you, Iru, even though Iru lived here short. I guess it's Linda's birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to Linda. We found out she's a Capricorn like me, which is probably why I like her so much. But anyway, so appreciate everybody tuning in, as always. It's been fun. And we'll see you guys Sunday for Globebusters for sure.
And have a safe trip, Jaron.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I'm looking forward to see what happens there.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Appreciate everybody watching. I remind you guys to do your own research, because when you do... Oh, before I do that, I should probably tell you that you can, if you'd like to, become a patron at patreon.com/jeranism. Also, you can become a patron there for Rodrigo Ferrari Noons. You can go to patreon.com/anthropology. Or you can become a patron of Iru Landucci, which is patreon.com/
or Globebusters /Globebusters.
Whoa, what? I didn't know.
I did it. I finally did it.
All right. I'm going to have to throw $5 towards Globebusters.
There you go.
So patreon.com/jeranism/anthropology/nur para todos. or /Globebusters or / all the other people that are doing good work. Make sure you support what you like, or it goes away. You can also, if you want, donate through Venmo to me, which is Venmo @jeranism. That only works if you're in the States. So now I remind you guys to do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till next time, guys, this has been Jeranism and Rodrigo and Bob. Peace.
Peace, guys. Cheers.